Hello, my name is Kylie Ann Hornbeck. I'm a Tarleton State University pre-service teacher. Today we're going to explore how Padlet can enhance the literacy technique called words consciousness. To words consciousness is a teacher creates an environment of curiosity so the student can explore the definition kind of for themselves and get experience to what the word means. So when they go to use it, they have that personal experience and they know how to use the word right. Cecil gives really great steps on how to make this technique work well, so let's look at that. These are the top 6 steps on how to make this literacy technique work. The first is a teacher, provides an explanation. The student restates it in their own terms. Student creates a visual representation of the word. You go through some activities. The students collaborate in a class discussion, and then the teacher also maybe involves games to wrap it up to make sure there's no loose ends. I'm going to take all the Padlet and kind of show you what Padlet looks like, how to use it, and an example of what Padlet would look like with word consciousness technique. When you go to Padlet.com and make a free account, it is free. This is the main dashboard screen or home screen. If you want to make a Padlet, you can just click Make Padlet. There's a bunch of different options, Canvas, Stream. If you want to do the back channel, they can have a conversation back to back. I like the shelf. It's a great way to organize into columns. So that's what we're going to focus on, is that shelf style. So you'll notice all my information is here in columns. You just click add column, you can name it, and then depending on what the column is, depending on what you want the students to look at for the term, that's how they'll answer in the column. Here's an example. So I want to teach math. So we're going to use slope-intercept form. And you'll notice all these columns follow those steps or questions that Cecil recommends. So here's the term, so you know how to read it. Here's the students' own words in their terms. So, it's a straight line. It has to do with the x, y coordinates on a graph. They visually represent it, which Padlet does connect to Google, so they can use Google Images. And then they're even going to reflect on the activities we did. So they're taking a step back to put on maybe the teacher hat. What was the big idea? What was the big picture here? And then here's even the group discussion. So, student A and student B came up with this. And the idea of why I want to use Padlet is in a conversation with Dr. Gentry and we're both dyslexic, and the basic foundation or knowledge of dyslexia is the flipping of numbers, letters, words in a sentence. Well, for me, I even flip information. So, the stuff that I know are facts, putting them with the wrong topic doesn't make it a fact. And also, it gets overwhelming to study vocabulary. And so this just allows me to see things, in an organized way, and to remember that this is a term, this is why we did it what it is. This is what it visually represents. But also, it's a great way for students A to collaborate, or maybe you have a student that doesn't understand it, and so they're going through this, and they see, student B understood it like this, so now they understand it, that way it clicks with them. So now students are taking responsibility with their peers of their own education and learning. The pros and cons to Padlet. Padlet is an app. There's a lot of different versions or ways to organize it, which we saw. Anyone can join in on the class on Padlet. It's also available after school. So, if they're studying for a quiz, that's great to go back and look at. Some of the cons, you have to have internet for it to work. So some of the students that don't have internet, that's really hard. Another way, that they could study is you can print off the Padlet. So maybe once everything's done, give it to those students that don't have internet. Obviously, I only use 2 students, so you could see how if a lot of students got on there and started commenting, it could be overwhelming. So one way to overcome that is to put them into small groups, let them collaborate. Which Padlet is a great way to collaborate and a teacher to see if the collaborating is going well. Another con is a teacher has to be on top. They have to set up those columns, otherwise the students aren't going to know what they're looking for. That's not really fair to them if the teacher's not on top of their game. As teacher, I really like Padlet because it's a great way to assess students. One, you can informally assess them by just looking and seeing they're getting what you're wanting. If not, maybe you need to go back and reteach something. But also, you can use it as a formal assessment just to see if Padlet's working. Before you start your lesson, go a pre-pop quiz before, over the words you're wanting them to learn. And then after they use Padlet, give them a pop quiz to see if they are learning it or not, and if they got it. Thank you for watching so much. I really hope you can bring Padlet into your classroom. And this is my last page, and these are my resources. Hope you enjoyed.